Okay, guys, welcome to this very powerful interview that's coming up for all you guys. I'm with the one and only Ellie Burscough, all the way from Australia, who has her PT mentoring company and is absolutely killing it in business and life. So I had to interview her. Me and Ellie are very close and we're on the same wavelength and we connect all the time. So it only made sense to just bring us together and just create this magic. Isn't that right?
Yeah, totally.
So, just so you're aware, Ellie, what I like to do for people, and you already know, but I'm just going to say it again because I love saying it. I love repeating. I love to just wake people up to what's possible for themselves, and that's why I like to be a light. Like, I see myself as a light and an example, and I know that you're aligned to that, so it's amazing that you're here. So that's what I want this interview to do, is just to allow people to understand, like, it doesn't have to be perfect for them to start. They don't have to be in a position where they can be in a position where they think it can't work out, because I know for a fact you started your PT business when you were a mum, okay? So there's no excuses. So I want you to tell your story to inspire people first and foremost, so this can be like a catalyst. Like, hopefully this will touch someone's heart. And then when your story touches someone's heart, they can go inside and go, wow, if she can do it, then what's stopping me? So I'll give it over to you, Ellie. Just like, go ahead and tell your story, then we'll just go into flow.
Yeah, awesome. Cool. Yeah, so I started out as a personal trainer about almost 6 years ago. And I started that because when I had my daughter, I put on 20 kilos in pregnancy. I don't know what that is in pounds. And when I wanted to lose the weight, but lose it in a healthy way, but lose it quickly as well, because I didn't feel comfortable being overweight. And I looked around out there for mums, group fitness classes where I could take her along, but not be pushing her in a pram, like actually have some time out to myself. And there wasn't anything out there like that. So I ended up losing the weight myself. I actually lost 29 kilos in 7 months after having her. And I decided to start my business, which was called Power Mums. So it was mums outdoor fitness classes with babysitting included. So the mums could have their time out for themselves whilst the kids were looked after. Wow. And so I started that business from a gap in the market, but also from the journey that I'd been through. And then also I started it at a time where I had nothing. So, you know, like people complain that, oh, my second car's in the mechanic, or my Netflix isn't working, and all this bullshit. And it's like, or say that they have no money, but they're going out every weekend, or their money's going towards their mortgage, like they've actually got a house, And I literally had nothing. I was living off Centrelink, which is like welfare, the dole, whatever people call it, different things around the world. And because my partner was on a tourist visa, so he couldn't work, and I just had my daughter, so I wasn't working. And we were living off $600 a week, which is like, what, £300 or something. And so literally had nothing, couldn't afford a car, couldn't afford to eat meat. Like, we were living off $50 a week on food. And it was at that time when I started my business. I used to push my daughter in the pram to all my classes with the equipment underneath the pram. And that's why I lost so much weight as well. I had no choice, right? But I started in that place from nothing. And that was actually my driver. That was my motivation to create a better life and lifestyle for my family. And whereas most people use that as their excuse why they can't, I used it as my reason why I had to.
I love that. Absolutely love that. So I completely relate, because apart from the kids stuff, like, I started my personal training business with £1,000 in the bank, and I said to myself that I wasn't getting a part-time job, it was just going to work. So well done for making it happen, man. Like, just like, tell people the success you've had, like, up to date, because at the end of the day, I feel that when you tell them, and I already know, but when you tell them, it's just going to be like, how the hell did you do that? So, like, talk through your journey. So you started as a PT, like, what happened after that? Did you continue doing that? Then you had an inspiration to do what you're doing now. Like, talk through the
sure. So Power Mums, I took that to 100K in a year and 200K in under 2 years. And that was really, like, you know, in the beginning I invested in myself. I had no idea what I was doing, like most people when they're starting out. And I found a mentor on Facebook. I was making a couple of $100 a week, and he wanted $1,000 from me. That was the first thing. And, you know, you could have said 100 grand at the time. Like, that's how much $1,000 felt like to me. And, but I took action on the things he was telling me, and I like made some money and paid it off. And he really, really helped me to get those fast results. And so in the second year, though, I was pregnant with my second child, and I'd just kind of fallen out of love with what I was doing. Like, I had some great clients, but I also had some clients that just weren't on my wavelength anymore. And I had trainers stealing clients and people bitching about me behind my back, and it was just shit. And so I'd kind of grown on from that, and I'd started already. I wanted to get myself to that 100K mark so that I could then teach trainers, because I saw other trainers struggling. But I wanted to have that background behind me. I didn't want to be a coach that's out there preaching how to make money when I hadn't done it yet. So I made sure I got to that stage, and then I ended up selling Power Moms, and I started I was already business coaching, but I decided to grow that. And I still, for a while, I couldn't let go of, I was still doing fitness stuff and still doing business coaching. And I struggled to kind of choose one or the other. But when I finally did, and when I started, I kind of went through some ups and downs and bad mentors, bad mindset, lots of kind of stuff in between. But when it was end of 2014, I really switched back on. And so my income had gone downhill in 2014, and end of 2014, I was only earning $4,000 a month. And I was like, fuck, like, I can't keep going like this. And so end of 2014, had a call with a mindset coach, decided to do his retreat. It was $5,000. I didn't have $5,000 at the time, but I took action, got focused on sales and mindset again, and I made the money. I paid it off. He actually ended up canceling the retreat. So I didn't even go, didn't learn anything from him, but I learned an amazing lesson anyway without even going. And that was to just get switched back on again. And so after that, I got to the stage where I was making $10K a month in 2015, so last year. But I was kind of stuck there for a while. And I was hustling and I was going up and down a little bit, but I was stuck at that 10K. And it's just been since like February this year that things have just gone like that. So I'm now making almost $500,000 a year. And not only the money, it used to be all about the money. It used to be all about the hustle and the success. But now it's about not even lifestyle. It's bigger than lifestyle now. Because, you know, for so long it was about, I've got to have this amazing lifestyle as well. So I moved to this big house a few months ago. It's like a $2.4 million property, and it's beautiful. It's surrounded by bushland, and it's amazing. And I had a chef once a week, and I had personal training sessions twice a week and massage twice a week. And my lifestyle got out of hand. And then I realized I don't need all this shit. And so instead of making it about the lifestyle, and instead of escaping into the busyness of being busy all the time and hustling, I started to work on myself more. And I looked within myself, and I worked on my relationship with myself and with my partner and with my kids, and worked on building energy and freeing up time. And now I'm making more money than ever before, but doing it in less time, and just putting a more meaningful message out to the world, rather than just like, oh yeah, let's hustle and make some money. It's not about that.
That was one thing I sort of tapped into while you were speaking there, is like, I'm really interested in finding out when you had your aha moment, like that moment where you just like, you had a connection with your heart and you were just like, I'm here for fucking more than this. Like, it wasn't about the money, because mine was the car crash. I woke up and I was just like, I'm meant to be here, but I'm not meant to be doing what I'm doing. I'm meant to be fucking serving the world. I don't know how I was meant to be serving the world. I do now, but back then I didn't have a clue. So when was that moment? Like, when was that moment where you had that call inside you where you were just like, that's where I have to go. I have to go towards the mentoring, because I want to give back to the industry. I want to make take a more meaningful message to the world. But at the same time, I want a better lifestyle. I want to make more money and I want to look after myself. When was that aha moment?
I think there were multiple times, and it's just really grown over the last almost 2 years. So it was like March last year when I did my NLP course, and that just changed my life and really opened things up for me. But then I was still, and I had mentoring up until recently, but from March until recently with a mindset coach every fortnight. And he's really helped this journey in going, no, you've got to build your energy. You've got to pull back. You've got to make things simple. It's not about the hustle. And at first, we've been slowly working on this for a while, but then I'd still jump back into those old patterns, and I still wasn't getting it fully. And it's really just been recently that it's kind of come together even more. And it's like, I think I'm still trying to find that balance between like making money, achieving my goals, pushing forwards, and just chilling the fuck out as well. And I had a lot of time where I didn't actually even read anyone's stuff or learn anything. I was just taking action. Yeah. Whereas at the moment, I'm working more on not just like, I feel like the doing is like the masculine, and I'm focusing more on the feminine and just being. And so it's from like, now I'm reading a lot of books. I'm just absorbing like all these new and it's funny, like I was in the shops last week, I think it was. I wasn't even supposed to go in the bookshop, and I walked into the bookshop and these 3 books jumped out at me, and I just went with my intuition. And one of them is about like female archetypes and like femininity, and it's called Rise, Sister, Rise. Yeah. And another one is by Ariana Huffington called Thrive. And it's like, it starts off with like, I was laying on the floor in a pool of my own blood, and I'm like, fuck, that's a good start to a book. And it's all about like coming away from the masculine. Like she says, she said there's been 2 pillars of success for so long, and that's like money and power, when we need to be focused on well-being as well, is the 3rd pillar. And so it's all about that. And then the 3rd book was Gabrielle Bernstein, which is called May Cause Miracles, I think. So it was like, it's funny, all these female kind of role models are coming into my life at the moment, whereas before I was very much in the masculine, and it was like I was attracting these mentors because these male figures, and that came back from, I guess, getting a bit deep, but it came back from my dad. I wanted my dad to be proud of me, and I never felt like he was. And when I dealt with that, I didn't need that anymore. And so it's like all the work I've done over the last 6 years, and even when I was younger as well, as a teenager, I did a lot of spiritual work. But it's kind of like it's all kind of coming together, and just like it's all making sense at the moment. And I think I've had a few of those moments when I did my NLP course, when I did another course recently, and just now reading these things as well. Just
like little milestones that just happen in your life.
Yeah.
Boom. It's just like, aha, oh shit, aha. And it's like that feedback, what that gives people is you're never done on your journey. You're always moving forward. You're always growing. You're always expanding. And as the viewers probably already know, me and you are very, very like, we're connected to working on ourselves. We really connected to working on ourselves. We're really connected to working on our mindset, but also levels deeper than mindset, which most people aren't willing to go. So can you give the viewers an insight on how important mindset work, and even going deeper than mindset work, to all the stuff that you were talking about with your dad, that's maybe down in your heart and your gut, and it's just sitting there and it's attracting all these things into your life? Like, you were attracting all these male figures because you were screaming out for a male figure, so they just came in. So it's not a coincidence. It's not a coincidence. So can you open people's eyes? Can you please just open people's eyes and just I know you're so passionate about this, so you've got to just let it rip. Just go for it.
Cool. Well, to go even further back, so like when I was a teenager, I was attracting I used to date like the bad boys because I wanted to save them, and maybe I wasn't feeling good within. I wasn't loving myself, so maybe I thought I deserved that as well.
Yeah.
And I was drinking and I was doing drugs, and when I left school, the drugs got harder, and my dad kicked me out of home when I was 19. Yeah. And so when he kicked me out because he couldn't handle me doing drugs and he just didn't know what to do. Yeah. So now with reflection, I'm 30 now, I can reflect on this, I've got maturity, but back then I just thought I was having fun. And so when I was sleeping around and doing drugs and doing all this stuff, it was actually me calling out for my dad's attention and just saying like, love me and show me that you're proud of me and support me. And really what I was doing was just pushing that away even more. Yeah. And so it just made me spiral even more out of control. Yeah. And I attracted abusive relationships, and I got in trouble with the police, and there was all this shit that happened. And I was very destructive. And as a 19 and early 20-year-old, I was like, just thought I was having the time of my life. I thought I was having fun. But with reflection, we can notice these things. And so, you know, it's like someone, one of my old mentors used to tell me our wounds are our superpowers. And so, yeah. And our wound is this thing inside of us, like what I just mentioned about when I was 19, of like, yeah, and it was based on like a lack of self-worth and self-esteem and not loving myself basically. Yeah. And so it's like, the thing that we want to do in business, like the message that we want to put out there, is based on this wound. And so if we can heal that wound within ourselves, then we're going to be able to be like that leader and really get our message out there to the world. Yeah. But what most people do is they just put a Band-Aid on it. Yeah, and they push it down because it's too scary to deal with. Yeah. And they're like, no, I'm not listening. I'm not listening. Yeah. And yeah, they don't want to deal with it. They don't want to own their shit. Yeah. Yeah. And so it's like, and it's, you see it when people are like playing the victim. Yeah. It's like they're blaming everyone and everything else outside of them instead of just owning their shit and getting real and open and honest with themselves. And so like it takes guts and it takes a brave person to do that. And you don't need to dive straight in and go, oh shit, I used to do drugs, or I don't know, like I had this trauma when I was young or whatever. You don't need to go straight into that stuff, but you can start with journaling or meditation or gratitude or whatever to kind of get clarity on what's coming up now. Because with NLP and with the work that I've done, everything that's showing up for you now in your life is a result of what's happened in the past. Yeah. And it's funny, before this, me and my partner were watching a video about what was it about? It was like there is no fate. Like everything is everything is fate basically. Like it's all predetermined. Yeah. And it's like everything is causation of the one thing after the other after the other. Like we don't decide anything. It's already happening. It's already out there. And yeah. And the thing is, like everything that's going on. So if you're triggered by someone or something that's going on outside of you, it's because of what's going on in here. And so it's your belief system, your value system, like stories that you're telling yourself. I call it, like I say to my clients all the time, what bullshit stories are you telling yourself? Yeah. And we all do it. Like, and it's like thinking about, okay, well, what happened when you were younger? And if you do any NLP work or energy work or anything like that, you can release it at that root cause so that you change the story and change the perception so that you can move forwards. But even from like a more logical, I guess, concept, you can do journaling and get clarity. It's like, okay, well, I just had this argument with my partner, so he's an asshole, and you can blame him or whatever. Or you can own your shit and go, oh, okay, well, why did that happen? Yeah. And like, what was my part in that? Or like, I know a lot of my clients, it's like, oh, this client's never showing up to sessions or whatever. And it's like, okay, well, and they're always canceling on me on the last minute. And so when I dig deeper, I find out that they don't actually have a cancellation policy in place.
Yeah.
And so they're creating those rules for that to happen. So they're not actually frustrated at the client, they're frustrated at themselves. And if you dig even deeper, it's not even about the cancellation policy. They're not putting that in place because they don't have confidence in themselves to be strict or to enforce rules, and they're trying to just please everyone else.
Yeah.
So everything ties back to your mindset.
Yeah, and like the one thing I would say there that you're absolutely spot on about is like, just take the first step with regards to, you don't have to dive in right at the deep end. You just take the first step and start on your inner journey. But then that's going to snowball, because when you start your inner journey, there's this addiction that happens. It's just like you start getting breakthroughs, you start getting insight, and you're just like, wow, I'm experiencing life different. And then it's the next week you'll experience life different again. It's just like every week when you go on the journey, you experience a new level. So it becomes like, what else can I achieve? And when you start raising your level of mindset or level of consciousness or whatever word resonates for you, that's when little wounds will crack open and they'll come through, and you'll be like, whoa, where did that come from? I forgot about that. And that's when you can go in and find the trauma and then heal. So it's like, and it's a never-ending journey, because with each level you move to, you'll create a glass ceiling for yourself. Yeah. And that glass ceiling is your level, but when you want to go here, you've just got to recreate yourself again and break through it. So it's a never-ending journey. Yeah. But how important would you say the stuff is we're speaking about with regards to business? Like, how important is it for business?
So important. I think your mindset is like 80% and the strategy is only 20%. It's like that old 80-20 rule, because, you can have all the strategy in the world, but it's not going to work if your head's not in the right space, because you'll either take action and you take one step forwards and then 2 steps back, or what's most likely is you just don't even take action at all, because it's like, okay, I know the strategy, but all these limiting beliefs are going around in your head of, what if they say no, or I'm not good enough, or it's too hard, or I can't do it because my kids are yelling in the background. And it's all this stuff that's going around in your head. Whereas when you work on your mindset, you can change those stories you're telling yourself, change those beliefs, and just take action. And you take action faster and more consistently, and your business just grows massively. Yeah. And it's like, and this is where self-awareness comes in so much as well. Like, I had a client this morning and I wrote this post on Facebook about like that I don't hold my clients' hands. I don't babysit them. I help to educate them and empower them to and teach them the strategy. But I'm not going to, for example, with a Facebook ad, I'll teach them the strategy behind it, but I'm not going to write it for them. Yeah. Yep. And so she got a bit ranty on the post, and she's like, oh, I can't help but think this is about me. And she got a bit angry, and then she apologized afterwards, and she realized, okay, I lashed out at you, but it wasn't anything to do with you. It's because I'm going through a tough time at the moment. Yeah. And if she didn't have that self-awareness, she may have dropped off at a client, blamed me, oh, Ellie's a bitch or whatever. Yeah. But instead, she had that self-awareness, and she was able to reflect on it and apologize and move forwards. Yeah. So, like, self-awareness is so important on both sides.
And I think one other thing I think that people struggle with, especially when they start to go on, they start to explore themselves. They start to look internal, and they're just like, asking themselves deep questions, and they're journaling, they're meditating, they're doing their gratitude, and they're moving forward. They're starting to read books. They're starting to understand, like, they live in a world of energy, and their mind's starting to fucking be blown and taken all over the place. This can distract us, and this can lead to a lot of procrastination, right? Yeah. So what advice would you give someone that's really ready to go on that inner journey, or maybe even started that inner journey, and they've just like sort of scratched the surface, but they're maybe struggling to balance between mindset work or internal work, whatever you want to call it, and business and doing. So the being and doing. Yeah. Obviously, like, you've mastered that. So how did you struggle with that in the past, and how did you overcome it, and how did you make it work for you?
Yeah. So I'm actually, there's people that are, you know, super spiritual and they struggle, like they have shit around money and they don't want to make money and they have beliefs around that and they're just like heads up in the clouds all the time. Or even if they're not spiritual, there's a lot of people that are stuck in not doing enough and procrastinating, and they call themselves procrastinators and perfectionists, but I think they're just bullshit stories for something deeper that's going on.
Yeah.
And so I'm actually the opposite. I used to get, and I still slip into this from time to time, but but hardly as much as I used to at all. I used to be in this cycle where I'd burn myself out. So I had 2 weeks of full on, week 3, burnt out, couldn't do anything. Yeah. Now it happens maybe twice a year, 2-3 times a year. Yeah. So it's a lot less. And basically, so I was too caught in the doing. I would just be hustling and pushing, and I get this adrenaline rush from making sales because my background's from sales. I love it. And
fight or flight, I call that. Fight or flight.
Yeah. So I was stuck too much in the doing and not in the being. And when I went and did this course a couple of months ago, and it was it's called Spiral Dynamics, and like if any of you guys that are watching want to check that out, like just type it into Google. Basically it's like, so the NLP is working on your subconscious mind, whereas the Spiral Dynamics is working on the body. So actually clearing the blocks and the emotional baggage from your body as well. Which is really cool. So I went and did this course. I spent 2 days in Byron Bay just listening to my intuition, doing whatever the hell my brain, like my intuition told me to do, and just chilling the fuck out. And then I spent 2 days in this course. And we went through basically, and this sounded like really hippie woo-woo to me at the beginning, but then now I'm like total convert. And basically it was going through the chakra system. So from the root chakra all the way up to enlightenment up here. And so the bottom one is like guilt, shame, and dogma. So it was getting rid of that. And then it was getting rid of things at each different level until we got up here to enlightenment. Yeah. And you can just imagine thinking about enlightenment like you're on another planet, yeah? You're like a god. You feel like you're a god. And so 2 days of that, just being and meditating and working on this energy kind of work. I felt like after that, my eyes got really bright but blurry as well. And now I noticed that like as if I was high. And I feel that anytime, like I can feel it now actually. I feel it any time that I'm talking about something I'm passionate about, which is really cool. And so I had that. I felt like there was this string pulling me up from my spine up to my head. And I was just on this other planet. I felt really light and I just couldn't come back down to earth. And so that happened for about half a week after that course. And that's the only time I'd ever felt like that before. Yep. And so the advice that I was given was you need to get grounded. And it's like, just get on some grass, put your feet on the grass, go hug a tree, like do whatever you need to do to get back down to the earth. The other thing was like someone told me that when she's feeling like that, she just reads trashy magazines and watches the Kardashians and like just stuff that's like mind numbing. Because you can get too much caught up into it and then you're not living on the real world. And when I was in that space, I didn't want to get back to clients. I didn't want to make sales. I didn't even want to look at Facebook or look at my calendar. Like I didn't want to do anything. Yeah. And so I think it's really that balance between the two. Yeah. And so if you have done a course or something like that, it's about getting grounded again, but also not rushing it, just like knowing that that's the process and it'll all even out. Yeah. But for most people that haven't done to that extreme, just with your normal day-to-day stuff, it's like, we'll start the morning with a little bit of a morning routine. So get to bed by a good time so that you can wake up early. In the morning now, I go for a walk every morning. I live around beautiful bushland and I see wallabies every morning. It's just beautiful. And when I start my walk, I'm saying all my gratitudes in my head. And it starts off with gratitude for the things around me. So I'm grateful for the rocks underneath my feet, for the sun on my skin, for the trees, for the wallabies. And then it goes into like people. You're in it sometimes, Scott. Yeah. And yeah. And then it goes into things like abundance and music and travel and growth and mindset and all of that.
Yep.
So yeah. So it's like basic, and then I get home, do some journaling and meditation, and then have a healthy breakfast and water, and then get stuck into my day of client calls or actual content and things like that. Yeah. So I think it's about having those boundaries, having that routine and those rituals, so you know, okay, this is my chill out time, this is my working time. Yeah. Someone actually told me, I'll have to find the name of the book. Maybe I can find it whilst we're talking. But it was like basing your day around the chi cycles, which is really cool. So like the yin and the yang, and like I think around 5 p.m. in the afternoon is where you're going into a more chilled kind of phase. So basing your day off that. Yeah. So that was really cool. Yeah.
No, it's basically about committing to some kind of routine, some kind of calendar schedule, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah.
And just building habits around what makes you feel good on a daily basis. So if getting up and doing and getting your work done in the space of 2 hours made you feel good, and then you've done your inner work and done all your walking and gym and spent time with your family and all that stuff in the afternoon, then cool, do that. But if getting up and seeing your family first, and then going to the gym, then meditating and walking, doing all that stuff, then working later on, then do that. That's the thing about when you are an entrepreneur, you get to choose your own diary. And if you're not choosing your own diary, there's something wrong. Like,
exactly.
In my eyes, there's something wrong. And you're not living the life you want to live. So there might be people watching.
Everyone's going to be different. Yeah, exactly.
There might be people watching this that are maybe still in that pleasing mode that you were talking about. The sort of yes. They can't say no. And maybe they're looking for more freedom in their life. And just like you've got the freedom just to get up and go and walk and be grateful for looking at wallabies. Like, fucking hell, amazing, right?
Yeah.
What would you say to someone that was maybe in your position before, where you were like hustle, and just hours. It wasn't even hustle. It was just hours all over. And there was no real meaning to it. There was just, I have to work X amount of hours because somebody's paying me £35, $60, whatever it is an hour. And I have to just show up and work. It's like a job.
Yeah.
What would you say to someone that's looking to get away from that and they're looking to get more freedom? Maybe take their business online, maybe just like you, or maybe maybe they've seen some success like you did in the past, like I have in the past, but then we felt the pull to go and teach other people and like expand our message and expand our lifestyle. What would you say to someone? What would be the first place to start for someone that's feeling the pull towards that? They're having their little aha moment, and they're between the two worlds, going, well, what if it doesn't work out, and I'm making money here, and but fuck, I really want this, and they're just stuck. What would you say? What would you give them? What advice would you give them?
So there's a few things, and people watching this have probably done like the perfect day exercise, something like that before. Doing something like that, visualizing like maybe 12 months or 5 years or whatever time frame you want down the track. And even just doing a visualization, just closing your eyes and sitting and seeing what comes up for you. And getting really connected to your vision, your message, your bigger picture, your reasons why, like what you actually want. And then the next step I do from there, from the perfect day, is I write down perfect day numbers. So it's like writing out how much that perfect day will actually cost you. And, you know, a lot of people go, I want to make 100 grand or I want to make $1 million. And it's just some number they plucked out of the air. Like, it means nothing. But if it's a number that's actually connected to the life and the lifestyle that you want to live and the contribution you want to make as well, then it means something, and you're going to work hard for it. And I don't mean hard as in more hours. I mean, like, be smart about it as well. Yeah. So that's the first thing. The second thing would be like, you only need to do 3 things each day. And those 3 things is work on your mindset, work on your marketing or content creation, and work on sales. Yeah. And so some days that might be hours of mindset work, and it might be hours of content and hours of sales. And then some days it might be 10 minutes of mindset, half an hour of content, and one sales call. Like it varies from day to day. And you have, like you said, you have that flexibility to do that. You know, when I'm going overseas for 2 months soon, and I'm only going to work a few mornings a week for a few hours doing my coaching calls with clients, and then I'll get a heap of content done before then, and I'll just do bits and pieces here and there. But I want to be able to enjoy that time and spend time with my family and not feel like I'm tied down to having to work every day. So yeah, that's the other part of it. Like there's always going to be more things to do. It doesn't all have to be done right now. And then the third thing is, there's this activity I created when I had my fitness business years ago, and it's called Living Life by Your Values. And it changed my life. It made me stop emotional eating. It completely changed my life. And so I created it based off the values activity, which you've probably done a million times, but it's basically finding your values, asking yourself, like, what's most important to me in my life, and writing them all down, and then finding your top 5. And then breaking those down into what you need to do daily, weekly, monthly, and throughout the year to be living by your values. And then putting that into a calendar. So if you use a diary, or I use Google Calendar, and then it's like putting that into your calendar. So if a date day, like if your relationship's important and you want to have a date day once a week, putting that in the calendar. And, you know, people can get so stuck in well, I've got to do the business stuff, but they forget about all the other stuff. And so like in my calendar, I have my date day. I had a client the other day that cancelled on me at the last minute and asked if I could do Friday morning. And I was like, no, I can't. That's when I'm having my date day. And in the past, I would have been like, oh, yeah, I can squeeze you in. And it's just having those boundaries and saying no to people is okay. Whereas in the past, because I was escaping from my relationship and I was escaping into my business and into my powerlifting, because I compete in powerlifting, but it was because I wasn't dealing with my relationship and other things going on in my life. And then once I dealt with that and worked on that, it's like, I don't want to be behind a computer all day, every day. Like this, tonight, I was doing calls most of today. So, and then I had some time out. I picked my daughter up from school, took her out for a little girls' day. And then I had to get back on the computer for maybe half an hour or so just to respond to people. And then I was like, I'm going to do this quickly because I want to get off and I want to play a game of Trouble with my son and then have a family dinner. And at our family dinner table, we were practicing gratitude together, and we were talking about things that we'd learned that day. And it's like, it's just really nice. Yes, I love my business. I love my clients. I could easily spend all day typing messages to them, but I've got a life and I've got other things that are important to me. And I think when we're pushing those things down and when we're not dealing with our shit, it's like we can have all these addictions. We can be and medicate ourselves. We can medicate ourselves with being busy or with binge watching Netflix or emotional eating or drinking or drugs or sex or whatever. And like we need to realize what we're medicating ourselves with and then find out why, like what's the trigger, what's the emotion going on, and what do I really need to work on instead of putting that Band-Aid on of the busyness or the procrastination or the scrolling through Facebook or the alcohol or whatever it is.
No, that gives it gives people amazing feedback, because it's so simple to make a decision when you actually realize that that's what I want, and you're clear on what you want, and it's in alignment with what you truly want from your heart. And it's like, no, I want to make fucking 1 million, 100,000, whatever it is. And it's just making that for no reason. There's no mission behind it. There's no purpose behind it. It's just finding out what you actually want in life, and then looking at your current situation and saying to yourself, well, is this achieving that? Well, clearly not, because I feel out of alignment. There's something not right inside of me. So what am I going to have to do to transition from here to here? Now that doesn't mean, and I'm different. I just jump. Like, I'm a jumper. I just dump businesses that earn me money. I'm just like, fuck that. I'll wait. You don't have to be crazy. You can go, what's the first step? What's
Yeah.
the first step? So it could be to just drop your clients to a number that is still getting you money coming in, so you're not panicking, you're still paying your bills, you're still doing all that stuff, but then coming up with a plan to say, right, on this date, I'm leaving so I can go and live that life. And I'm going to give myself a month to 6 weeks to set up my online business, or set up a business that's going to get me that lifestyle, then take it.
Yeah, exactly. And I think you can have quick wins, but then other things take time as well. Like I didn't go from being on welfare to living in a $2.4 million property in like that. It took me 6 years. And there were amazing wins in the past, and there were ups and downs along the way. But people need to have patience as well. They think that, oh, there's Facebook and there's online stuff, and this so-and-so is successful or whatever, so I can just put one Facebook ad up and then I'll be famous, or I'll have millions of dollars or whatever. It doesn't work like that. Like, you got to think about the long-term plan. And yes, you can make quick decisions and you can get things a lot quicker than you think, but other things just take that consistent action as well.
And one thing that I get a lot is people, and this is what I struggled with as well in the past, is I thought no one understood me. I thought it was only me that had these problems, and it was only me that get triggered. I was all alone. I get this all the time with clients, and it's just like, do you know what? I tell them straight, I'm like, I'm a human. I get triggered. I've got problems. I'm working on myself consistently, just the same as you. You're consistently doing stuff to expand your mindset, to go deeper and find out what else is going on, because you're always growing and expanding. So for people that are watching, you're not alone. It doesn't matter, like $500,000 business, it comes with problems. And to be honest, the more success you have, the more problems that come, the more challenges that come. So
I just did my, where is it? Did my tax last night. And I've got like almost 40 grand to pay. So but it's like, you know, my mindset last year, I earned a lot less money last year, and my mindset around paying a lot less tax was way worse than paying a lot more this year, because I've worked on my mindset. I'm managing my money now as well, and I have the money there. Like, I think a lot of people, they stress out and they don't deal with their situation. They're in a heap of debt. They're, like I said before, it's that I'm not listening, and it's like so if they don't deal with these things, their situation gets worse. But if you think about, and that's where this hustle kind of mentality comes from as well. It's like you're just thinking about the here and now, like the today. Like, it's, oh shit, I've got this thing to pay for. I need to make more money now. Whereas if you're thinking about the bigger picture, it doesn't matter if you make a little bit less money for a month or two. If you make less money, then sometimes we need to take a step back to take a big leap forwards.
Very.
And it's like, you know that it'll all work out in the end, and you know there's a bigger picture as well. And like I was saying before, when it was all about the lifestyle, that's very much just the here and now, But now I'm thinking about the bigger picture. And that's like, I want to own properties around the world to run retreats from. I run retreats overseas, and I want to buy some properties overseas. I want to buy an island one day as well. Like, pretty cool, and they're not that expensive, actually. I look on this website all the time, like
visualize it.
Totally. And you know, like, even bigger than, it's about really transforming people's lives at that deep level. And even from a contribution perspective as well, like, not even business related, I want to go and speak in like domestic violence, like shelters, women's shelters and things like that, because I've been abused in the past, and I want to show them that they are worthy, and that they can create success and happiness in their lives. And that's not even business related at all, but that's just me giving back. I
think this is one thing I wanted to end on, because I want I want people to connect with you at a deeper level, and I know what you're doing in the world. I know it might look like it's the PT mentoring and stuff, but I know for a fucking fact that it goes 10 levels fucking deeper than that. So
Yeah.
that's where we really connect as humans. So can you just like drop into your little center, and when I ask you this question, just fucking just burst it out. Just tell everyone what comes to your mind. Just let it come to you. Don't think, let it flow. What's your mission here on Earth, Ellie? What is your mission? Tell the world.
My mission is to help people transform their lives and be the best versions of themselves in all areas. Like you can have it all. You don't have to give something up to have something else.
Yeah.
And if you heal that wound inside of you and deal with your shit and really work on yourself, you can have amazing success and happiness and joy, and you can have everything that you ever want. Yeah. And so I guess the vehicle that I help people do that by is by making more money and them helping others. But really it's about being the best version of themselves. Yeah. Because and that's why I show up every day and work on myself to be the best version of myself that I can be, because then I radiate that out and help other people with that, and then they expand that onto their clients, and it's just this big massive like, I don't even know the word, but just like
ripple effect.
Yeah, exactly. And it's rippling out and just changing. Not only, like, I've got clients in every state in Australia except for Tasmania at the moment, New Zealand, England. I've had clients in America, Canada, Norway, and it's like rippling out to the whole world. Yeah, and then they expand that out to their clients. So, shit happens in life, like bad things happen because of people that haven't worked on themselves. Yeah, and it's a lot, and even with people that are playing the victim, like a lot of people that are on drugs or that are homeless or like just struggling in their lives, it's because they're not taking accountability for these things. Yeah. And I think people really need to take accountability for their own actions and their inactions, and just work on themselves every day, no matter how big or small those steps are. Because when they do that, they can not only change their lives, but they can change the world.
Love it. Yeah. Absolutely love it. So one thing I want to finish that on is, when there's a bigger mission behind, when you're connected to something bigger than yourself, because let's face it, Ellie, that mission you've got is like fucking huge. It's like bigger than you as a person. Is Ellie. It's bigger. When you're connected to that, that is what drives you to a level of success that you could never imagine was even possible for yourself. Like, that's my main driver, is the mission. Like, that's what I'm, like, that. It's just like fucking heats me up from inside. And it's like, poof, it just drives me forward. And I never had this drive. And I don't know did you have the drive before you were connected to something bigger than yourself?
No, it was all about the money before.
Yep.
It was, and it's funny, I'm getting goosebumps so you're talking about that. But yeah, it was all about the money before. And the reason it was about the money and the hustle is because, like I said before, I saw that as my badge of honor, my badge of success. And it was that I wanted my dad to be proud of me. And I wanted other people to be proud of me and think that I was awesome because I'm making X amount of dollars, or I'm squeezing so many things into the day and getting so much done. Yeah. I look through some of my Facebook memories and it's like, I did this, and this today. And I'm like, fuck, so boring. Like, really? And yeah, it was all about that. But once I healed that wound, I actually had a conversation with my dad, my old mentor. He made me have a conversation with my dad, call him one day and tell him I felt like you were never proud of me. Yeah. And once I had that conversation and got that off my chest and realized that it was this huge weight lifted off my shoulders. Yeah. And I realized I didn't need to be fighting for his acceptance anymore. Like, I can just do this for me, and I can do this for... It was a push before. It was like I was procrastinating. I'd have to force myself to write content and to do stuff. Whereas now I feel unfulfilled and I don't feel good if I'm not doing it. Like, it's just, I need to get my message out there. I need to speak my message or write my message every day, because it's like, it's just an expression of myself. And otherwise it's just all jumbled up in my head and I end up being a crazy person and snapping at the kids or my partner.
Yeah.
So now it's just, it's just an expression and it just flows out of me, and it's like, it just flows and it just comes naturally now.
That's when you know you're in the right zone. That's when you know you're on the right path, when you don't have to think about it. And like, I can relate to you, because what I was doing with business to start was trying to prove myself and trying to prove that I was worthy, and trying to find, I was looking for my mum and dad's love, because I didn't perceive that when I was younger. So it was like, as a 3-year-old, I didn't perceive that, and I created that perception. So every single circumstance in my life, whether it was sleeping about, whether it was drugs, drink, all that stuff, and then it transformed into business. So it was just another addiction. And that was me proving I'm out there to just fucking find love, like what makes me feel good. And it's just like, and I was just going crazy to find that. So that was my wound, and that's like really similar.
Exactly.
But just
all everyone wants is love.
Yep.
It always comes back to love. And you know, there's been times this year where I've gotten defensive or angry at clients leaving or different things going on at certain times, but it's been because I wasn't receiving love at that time, and I needed that love from not only from others, but more importantly from myself. And when I was able to work on myself and realize that and have that self-awareness, now if a client leaves, even if I'm like, oh, why are they leaving, like I know I can help them more, I just give love. And even like, I had a down day last week, or down a couple of hours, and it was because I knew that I was growing and I just needed to go through that to expand and get to that next level. And instead of just like snapping or ranting like I would have done a couple of years ago, I just picked up my phone and just sent a couple of messages, audio messages to people saying, hey, you're awesome. I think I sent one to you actually. And I'm like, I did it to like maybe 2 or 3 people, and just saying, hey, like for yours, I think it was like, hey, thanks so much for your friendship. I think you're awesome. I really appreciate you. And that was like, yes, it was, because it's true. Like, I'm not doing that as a fake thing, of course, but it also just instantly, within minutes, boosted my mood. And you know, when we give love and we give value and we give gratitude and focus on the positives, the rest doesn't matter.
So true. So to summarize, people, like, step away from the busy work, find your life's work and take action. But to find your life's work, here's the clue. Face your own shit, find the root trauma, find the root cause, and you will find your life's work, because that's how I found mine, and that's how you found yours.
Totally.
And follow the fucking pool. Do not let your bullshit stories stop you. Right, Ellie, it was amazing. Thank you very much for your time. But just to finish, where can everyone find you if they feel really connected to you and they want to reach out to you and just share their love with you? Where can they find you?
Sure. So my Facebook page is Ellie Burscough. That's Burscough, PT Mentoring. And I also have a free group on Facebook called the Community of Kick-Ass Action Takers. So feel free to request that.
I will get the links, and I'll link them below when we put the interview.
Awesome. Awesome.
So that makes it easy for everyone. And just
what I was saying before as well, just quickly, that book, by the way, so it's like the yang hours is in the morning, and the yin is in the afternoon, I think. So it's called the Perfect Day Plan. So
Perfect Day Plan. Well, that's funny when you say that, because that's how I work my day out anyway. Like, I'm a morning. I'm a morning person. Like, it's just like in the zone.
Same.
Right. Thank you very much for your time, and we will catch up soon.